Howdy folks, welcome to Maverick Workshop. I'm John and I aim to entertain, educate, and inspire. I know, I've got my work cut out for me. Well, almost. In today's video, I'm going to go and try out some new material that I've never worked with before. This is the M3 blue steel material that I've purchased from Tim McKenzie at McKenzie Penworks. To spice up the project even more, I'm going to make two pins from the same blank. And one of them, I'm going to use the Magic Juice, which is part of my standard finish on all the other pins that I make. And then I am going to use the metal polish from McKenzie Penworks that he suggests using with the M3 blanks. And we'll see how they stack up against each other. Here's a closer look at that blank. This is called the black titanium blue steel and aluminum. And the blank is M3, which means macromolecular metal. It is a composite material made in the USA from real metals and durable resin. It will not rust, it resists scratches, and it is designed to last a lifetime. You can see the care instructions right there. And the next thing we need to do is check the pin kits and make sure that we have all the components. This is Fisher Space Pen, ink refill. It is the same size as a Parker style refill. And you can see that for the length of this, you're going to flip this around and then put it on like normal. And then you'll need to keep the little adapter right here to put on top of this part right here, which I'll show you once we get to that point of assembly. It appears that we have all the components to each kit. The next thing is to take the brass, mark it on the blank. Now that we've got the blanks cut to the appropriate size, the next step is to drill an 8mm hole. And I'm going to use my 4-jaw chuck and get it straight as possible. But again, there's pretty good amount of material here. And then for the Jacob's chuck, it is going to get the 8mm drill bit. We're going to be drilling at about 700 RPM. After doing the initial bit of drilling, it feels pretty normal, like a normal resin blank. And then, you know, for the consistency's sake of my process, I turn the lathe off, and then I put the drill bit back in there, and then I send it home, lock the tailstock, and then we'll finish getting all the way through. Nice and easy when you think that you're close to the end. That way you don't just blast out the back of it and damage the end of the blank. That would be a bad day. All right, I can't tell if we need one more reset or not. The way we can check that is by looking through the tailstock end and seeing if you can see the light out the other end. And we're not all the way through yet, but we're almost there. So get her locked into place and then advance just a little bit more, and that should be where we need to be. I heard it pop through and it got easier. So we're there. I've got to say, so far these blanks have been really nice to work with no problems. Here are the sides that I initially went in with the drill bit. And here's the side that I came out, and you can see right here and a little bit on the other one that there was a little bit of blowout on the back end, but that's really not that much of a concern. I have plenty of material. I am now set up for using CA glue to put the brass tubes into the blank. Before I do that, I want to make sure that I know which direction I'm going to be placing the brass tubes in, as well as making sure that they fit how they should, and I don't need to make any other adjustments. So this looks like it fits very nicely. We'll check the other one. 1 and 2. That one also fits nicely. And I am going to start on the side that I put, I started the drill bit on. So, got our medium CA glue, and our brass tube is already scuffed. All I need to do is throw some glue on. Taking a look at the ends, this one is recessed quite nicely. Plenty of room for me to barrel trim down, and not too much at the same time. However, on the other hand, this one's got a little bit more than I'd like for it to. So my fix to this is I take my measuring calipers and I use the bottom part here, and I go all the way to the brass tube, and then I settle it on right there, and the side that I went on is the same side that I'm going to measure and mark where to cut. Got the pieces cut off, and I said something about this in my previous video. You can save up these little pieces, and then you can end up making a pretty unique pin with all the little cutoffs that you have. I got this trimmed down. You can see you can see the brass tube much easier now, which means that I don't have to barrel trim too much. See it on that one as well as that one. Something that I also like to do for barrel trimming, because I use a hand drill, especially on square blanks, I like to wrap them in a towel. That way, when I'm holding it, it won't spin around in my hand. I've had that happen to me before, and it does not feel good. I don't advise it. All right, barrel trimming is now done. No injuries to the hand, thank you to the rag. I got all these barrel trimmed all the way to the brass tube, where you can see just the very end of the brass tube. You don't want to remove any of it, but I got it right to where I want it to be. And I would say that barrel trimming these was on par with barrel trimming any Alumilite resin. So the next step is to get these mounted on the mandrel saver and over to my lathe and get them turned. All right, we got the blanks mounted on the mandrel saver here, and I'm going to be doing them both at the same time. I even had to swap out my tool rest to give myself a little bit more room here. But this one is going to be the Magic Juice, and this one is going to be the M3 Polish. For turning this, I am going to use a round carbide from Easy Wood. This is all right, crisis averted. We had that bubble that was there, and it kind of looks like there's a bubble, but it's just the shine. I'm going to wet sand from 240 grit to 2500 grit at 700 RPM. These are really awesome looking. here we are after wet sanding them to 2500. We're going to do the magic juice first, and then we'll stop and see how that is looking. And then we will go and do the metal polish. For the magic juice, I am going to be turning it at 2300. All right, here we go. Step 1 and 2. All right, we're going to do the same speed, and we've got 1 and then 2, and then we'll see which one it is. Already got that one side on. Again, we need to grab the little plastic part here. And come on. Of course it's going to be a pain. All right, got that on. All right. Very nice. So now we have magic juice and M3 polish. Which one do you think ended up looking better? I'll be honest. I am going to say that for this particular blank, I do not think that there is a reason to use magic juice unless that was all that you had. That way you wouldn't have to buy the M3 polish. Okay, so here are my thoughts about the M3 material. I think the material is very cool. It's very easy to work with. It's very similar to turning Alumilite blanks, which that's primarily what I turn. I hope that you were entertained, inspired, or you learned something today, and I'll see you in the next one.